Hi, and welcome to another joyful video. I'm Sophie, one of the co-founders of The Joyful Web, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Abi Flynn, who is a singer, alchemist, and artist of heart. And we're going to be talking about courage, which is incidentally the title of Abi's debut single, which is coming out next week. And also something that Abi has really embodied during what has been an absolutely incredible journey of courage, of resilience, and of really understanding who oneself and understanding one's own path and walking it despite really what anyone has said. So welcome, Abi, and thank you so much for joining me here today.
Hello, thank you.
First of all, you have your first single coming out next week, Courage. And this is a really, really important topic for you and for really anyone watching right now. Could you just tell us a little bit about your journey and why courage is such an important part of that?
Yeah, so my debut single and EP that are coming out this summer, basically. I wrote them 3 years ago. I've been a singer my whole life. But yes, I got cancer when I was 26. So I went on this wild journey of self-healing and really allowing my my creations to be a huge part of my healing and my alchemy. And I did not know at the time the path I was going to have to walk to actually birth these into the world. So since writing Courage, I went on a healing journey from cancer, and then I got pregnant straight away, and then I became a mother, and then there was a pandemic. So so the fact that it's coming out in a week is just like, oh, I have waited for this moment for 3 years. And yeah, I've really had to walk the message. Every time I seem to write music nowadays, like I have to really walk the truth of the message I'm bringing. So yes, it's been intense and I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, your journey really has been quite an incredible one. I think the thing that always amazes me when we've spoken about where you've come from, what you've been through, and where you are now, is just how set you have been on your vision, your truth, and no matter what anyone else has said to you, you've been like, no, that's not going to be my truth. So in terms of that, can you just tell us a little bit about that? Because I know for myself how difficult it is to not get caught up in other people's stories and other people's projections. And even at the moment, particularly when every single place you look is just like doom and gloom, the world is over, the economy is, whatever we're seeing, it's really hard to stay true to a real positive and expansive vision right now.
Yeah, I love that you picked out that as the overall message that you get, because that's been my experience. I think we all have this innate ability to see through our very own unfiltered lens that is just ours, but I know I certainly wouldn't have ever tapped into that had I had no other choice. Like I kept using the phrase in my journey, my healing journey, it was like truth or death for me. Like if I had the sense that if I had kind of gone away from my own truth, compromised on my own truth even a tiny bit, that it could have cost my life. And so I got really good at discerning, taking in information, and then being able to hold it and then decide for myself, actually, what feels true to me, and what do I want for myself, what do I dare to believe. And I was astounded every single time that I kept overcoming things that that could not make sense of. That I got pregnant when I was infertile. I overcame cancer that I was only supposed to have a few weeks left to live, and I turned down treatment, and all these things. And lots of people at the time, we've progressed a lot since then. It may have even seemed woo-woo to kind of claim like, I'm going to do this my way and I'm creating miracles. But actually, what we believe, we tend to create, and we are powerful. We can actually experience the life that we decide to, when we dare to actually believe that as the first step. And so yeah, I'm a real advocate for empowered expression and truth, and not taking things just at face value, and really looking into like, okay, well, what do I feel and what do I want to create out of this situation?
Yeah, and I think the thing that really, for me in my life's journey, is that facilitating the waking up of individuals to not just their truth but their full potential, because human beings, every single one of us, no matter who you are, no matter where you have come from, you are so much more powerful than you realize. And yeah, it does sound a bit woo woo and it does sound a bit out there, and especially from a business perspective, people are just like, aren't you just supposed to be a marketing agency? Like, why are you talking about like, like expansion of your consciousness? But the thing is, it's like, it's so fundamental to the success of individuals, but as a collective as well. Like, it's fundamental to the future of our lives. And I think something that I always just love when I talk to you is just how, through you as you and through your music, you are kind of really standing as this catalyst for people to start to think, maybe, and all it takes, just that tiny thought of maybe I might be capable of more than I'm allowing myself to think I'm capable of. And maybe the next day there's like a little bit more that I might be able to wake up to or expand within. And that, I think, is so important.
Yeah, that's it. And it's so innate, I think. Like, originally I think that we're almost designed to think this way. And when I use the word alchemy, I'm usually speaking about that ability I have to take whatever's going on for me and turn it into gold, to whatever my creation it wants to be. And I love that you said that, yeah, it is a fundamental thing for building business, because actually we are our business. Our business is a reflection of us, and the way that we can see ourselves, and the level of capability that we see for ourselves, or possibility, or the horizons that we've designed for ourselves, is directly will affect how successful our business or career or abundance is. And I think that was once upon a time maybe known and normal, but we've become under this weird separation where we can like separate the two, where we can just have an agenda in business, and then it doesn't matter how what we can neglect ourselves, or we can feel small but create. But actually there's an easier way. We align it all together. We fix how we feel within ourselves and what we believe about ourselves, and as our horizons expand in our mental mind, they just do on the physical. And it's amazing what other realities you start to live in when you're like, oh, I was here, I was seeing it, and now actually it's over here. And yeah, they're powerful.
Yeah, and if you're watching this and you really it's just not your bag to be thinking about like things on that kind of level, it can be as simple as what you think you create. Like, it really is as simple as that, because thoughts become actions, become habits, become your life. And so then what you think on the inside directly impacts how you are on the outside, which directly impacts the kind of life that you have. And I think right now this is a more important message than ever before, because while there are a lot of external things happening that are completely beyond our control, and we have no idea what's going to happen next, although, like, spoiler alert, we never knew what was going to happen next, but it's now like really in our faces, that feeling of uncertainty and just destability. And it's like, it's more important than ever to trust that actually whatever happens, we still have a choice in how we project that, and how we show up to that, and how we then choose to move through that, so that nothing that happens, and no one can ever tell us that, like, that this is a bad time to start a business, for example, or that if you have a business it's doomed, or that or on a, even on a more extreme level, like with your cancer journey and survival, and then becoming a mother when medical professions told you that's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
like, you chose differently, and I think you're proof that we have a choice in everything.
And you can, you will literally, as you said, you change your outlook, change your thoughts, that changes your cells, that changes everything. And it's mad, you know, being told I might only have a few weeks left to live, or that I would never live if I didn't have certain treatments. And just deciding for myself, I was just like, no, I just don't feel that is not true for me. And lo and behold, you know, I went my own way, and a year later, and well, it's been longer than a year now, but only 3 months later I was pregnant, and then another year and a half later now I'm here. I've had, you know, I'm completely healthy. And it was just daring. It was daring to believe differently than, and we're getting bombarded right now with a lot of quite poisonous kind of mindset and opinion. And if we can still like choose to maybe digest that, but then we decide what we're going to make of that, like, yeah, it's, you wouldn't believe, that's how miracles happen. For me, a miracle is just something that happens outside the boundary of what you've considered possible. It's not necessarily like an impossible thing, it's just beyond that limitation that we've set for ourselves. And so I'm in the business of expanding those limitations all the time, and it kind of takes it out of the woo-woo and into the very, very, you know, innate physical, like, I believe as humans that's just something we can do. That's why the placebo works.
Well, this is it. And like, we see proof of this everywhere. And that to me, that's just, it's just magic in motion. Like, it's we like, everything is magical really when you choose to look at it from that perspective. And I totally do understand that there will be people out there who are just feeling really, really hopeless right now, and where this feels just completely out of reach. And I have been there. I have been in that space. I'm guessing that you probably have also been in that space at times in your life. And a large part of this journey is to kind of really not try to pretend like that doesn't happen, and like that everything is always fine and everything's like whoop-a-doop-a-doo, like that's, you know, it's just not true. So if someone is watching and they're thinking to themselves, this just doesn't feel, I can't access this is something that's not for me, what would you say to that? Like, how could someone move from a space of real fear into that space of possibility?
Well, for me, I think it took me a while to learn this, but every time I'm approaching life in this way, trying to change, trying to, you know, create expansion, the first step always is to be okay. Like, maybe be okay with what is now is actually too much of a stretch, but it's to be able to hold on myself in what's going on. And if I can see myself like, okay, I'm actually in a really bad place right now, I really don't resonate with like creating great things or whatever, I'm just feeling really upset, I'm feeling really angry or whatever it is, it's to be able to allow. So it's a radical acceptance, I think, really is the first thing. And trusting that when you do that, you don't even have to go in thinking I'm going to change this and make things better. It's like literally the ability to radically accept yourself or your situation as it is, as you are, and surrender within it and know that it can change, will actually start to provide the little next step on its own. So you never really have to do. It's like, I think we're moving into a time now where it's so much about being and so much allowing. So yeah, sometimes I'm in a, you know, even now I get in really like bad ways, or really like can't see what's next, and the uncertainty is overwhelming me, and I just hold myself where I am, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to give myself permission today just to feel rubbish, and that seems to bring the next step. So
yeah, and I think that's a really key point, because with all of the quite toxic teachings that we have had, that are very much the result of capitalism and keeping people small and keeping people working in certain ways to benefit, you know, the small percentage of people who make money from that. With that also comes this idea that and it's a very British thing too, is that we must pretend like we're fine, and that emotions bad, especially negative emotions, are bad. And actually I found exactly the same, that when you stop labeling emotions good and bad and stop thinking that you should feel a certain way, and just allow yourself to be how you are with what is how it is, then suddenly it loses its power. And when it
Yeah.
loses its power, the mind stops obsessing and it can start to calm down a little bit. The body then can calm down, the parasympathetic nervous system can calm down. And then from that space, which is a much stiller space, suddenly something's possible. And then that's when, for me, it's like, that's when I've had my spark of an idea of, oh, actually, I could try this, that then leads to something else.
Yeah, exactly. I love the way you put that. Yeah. And that's empowerment, isn't it? And that, like, without getting too conspiracy theory, but that is what the greater powers are afraid of, that we wake up to that power within ourselves. And
Yeah. And
like,
I would say it's our responsibility to wake up to the power within ourselves.
And it's happening on a wide scale now. And of course, there's been so much tragedy in these times. But one thing that's rising from that is these kind of like little moments of going, hold on a second, like, I don't need to like kill myself in order, like, work so hard that I'm destroying myself in order to be successful. Like, hold on, like, I can just give myself permission to as you said, like, relax my nervous system and enjoy quality of life again, and then create a new way of making abundance. And I think it is quite scary, like, for a lot of people, the change that's happening, but I think it's going in an overall really powerful direction, actually.
Yeah. And and I know you and I have both had periods over this time of being like, oh god, oh, I can't do this.
I know.
And that's completely normal.
Yeah, everything's being illuminated right now, isn't it? It's like, I can't, it's just like I'm being shown how, perhaps we're being shown that there's more to us and that we have more capabilities. And it is actually, that's the other thing, it is scary at first, and almost sometimes we don't want to believe it, because it's like, go back to how it was easier being small. I have that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of that Marianne Williamson quote about our biggest fear is not that we can't do something, but that we are powerful beyond belief. And it's like that concept of like what we're capable of is actually quite it can cause us to be completely frozen. And I think, again, when I start to think too big picture, when I start to think of like too much, like, oh my gosh, I've got to achieve all of this, then I'm like, oh no, hide, when actually it's just about being in the moment and going, okay, right now I'm okay, right now everything's okay, and like I can step forward and just being open to whatever comes from that.
Yeah, and that's courage. Like, yeah. I think the first line in my song actually is and I fall into the mystery of it all. I sit back as it unfolds. I surrender. It's like to be able to do that and to keep choosing to receive what's coming at you and to show up to that. That's courage. Like, you don't have to like do something straight away, like, I don't know, that looks perhaps really shiny on the outside. It's like, sometimes it's really courageous just to be with the thing that's being handed to you and not run away or numb it. It's like, we're all walking a path of courage right now. We all are, because we're all being forced outside of our comfort zone.
And however you're walking that path is perfect, and it's your journey. And I think that's another thing. This is not an invitation for another way to beat ourselves up. It's an invitation to look past all of that fear at what we are each capable of. And that is just the most exciting thing. Like, imagine if every single person in the world woke up tomorrow and realized their potential. And I don't mean potential like that they can be really successful and that they can be the next, whoever multimillionaire. I mean potential in the sense that they have the power to create whatever it is that they want from their life. Like that. And that doesn't necessarily mean financial abundance in that way that we've been taught, or material abundance. It means literally like being in the joy of existence. Imagine what would happen if each of us could just be in the joy of existence. Like, that's the world I'm standing for, and that's the world you're creating through your music, and that's just it's like an amazing thing to be witness to.
Thank you, and same to you. Like, you know, everything the Joyful Web stands for, it just makes my heart sing. And we were gonna do a talk, weren't we, before the pandemic? But I know that there'll be some beautiful collaborations, and we have the shared goal of just wanting people to know how incredible they are, really. And I like using the word majesty. There's like this innate majesty in each of us, and yeah, it's time to unlock it and ignite it, and courage to create whatever we want to create.
Absolutely. And I think to that point, just before we finish up, like what I really also want people to realize is that there is that innate majesty in each of us, and there is that innate majesty in each of the people that you come into contact with, even when their political views don't suit your political views, even when their actions don't suit how you see the world's actions should be. Like, every single person in the whole world, without any kind of exception, is capable of amazing things. And if we start seeing people for their potential rather than seeing people for, you know, whatever actions and projections and whatever has come up for us, and that's a big issue, I think, right now, is this judgment and right and wrong and like and separation. And it's like, actually, if we could all just be aware of our own and each other's potential, that would be a really great way to move through what is a troubling time.
Yeah, remembering that each of us are sharing that kind of illusion that we're smaller, but really, reminding each other that we're so much more is important.
Yeah, and that we are all connected.
Yeah, we're in this together, whether we like it or not.
Oh, and just as you said that, the light behind you just went.
The light just fell down.
Yeah. La, la. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have like one kind of final piece of insight or advice or whatever that you'd like to give to someone who's watching?
I think in these times, what I've been saying is, actually, my EP is titled Get Deep, and I wrote this 3 years ago before the world was ready. I'm starting to understand my own song a bit more now, and it's like we are being forced within ourselves, we're being forced to spend more time introspectively and be with a lot of uncomfortable stuff that's coming up. And the one thing I just really want people to know is, from my experience, is that when we can, you know, be with those deeper, perhaps more uncomfortable, confronting feelings, it really will set you free to be able to be with those, even if it's just a little bit at a time. Like, we're in a world of distraction and covering things up a lot and looking for the next thing that will distract us from our internal state. But yeah, I think for me, the power of Get Deep is like, actually, when we dare to be with what is there's no big scary monster that's going to get us. It just seems that way. And the more you can cultivate that relationship with your internal self and allow yourself to be, just to be witness and to hold yourself in that, you will see the most incredible things happen in the material, like on the outside. It's that simple. I've learned, just take care of this, and out here it just radiates in a way that you've always wanted to, but perhaps haven't been able to achieve by grasping beyond yourself. So yeah, that's what I'm journeying. And
yeah me too. And it's honestly, even if you're watching this and the whole thing, you're just like, whatever, which I get, because there will be people like who feel like that, but just be open to it and maybe just give it a try. Like, what have you got to lose? And I think you'll be amazed at the magic that you can create for yourself.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Abi, for joining us. And I can't wait till hear your first single. What day is it being released next week?
So it's a week today, on Friday the 10th, and then I forgot to mention, I recorded a music video when I was 8 months pregnant, and it kind of depicts artistically my whole journey. That will be out on the 16th. So yeah, look out for that as well.
Amazing. Well, watch this space, because Abi Flynn is about to make her worldwide debut.
From my living room. I love it.
Oh, well, thank you again, and thank you to everyone who's watching. And as usual, if you've got any comments or anything that you'd like to share with us, then please do let us know in the comments below. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.